Welcome to Larsen's TV, where we are in Lake, well, we're at Lake Tahoe, South Lake Tahoe, and we're walking down to the Fallen Lake Falls. And you can, it's closed, you can't drive down there, so we had to find a place to park off side the road. That's not us, but we talked to the fire guy, station guy, and he said we could park anywhere as long as we weren't blocking the road or in the road. But it's Karen and Barbara. Barbara's here with us, and this place is pretty nice so far. We came in last night. We went to show you the water. How clear that water is. Came yesterday, we got here and went to a soccer game where Tori was playing soccer. She did an amazing job. Team did great. They played as a good team, and they won. So anyway, we're gonna hike down here. Here's the fire station where for this little community. All right, let's get down there. Chevy, we could drive down this. This is why you can't drive. Should have brought my waterproof shoes. We can clearly make it around it. Oh, it's fine. No, it's fine. The road goes around here. Yeah, there's a bunch of people. Yeah. Yeah, the road's completely covered with snow. It's this way. The people walking down here. To the falls. I don't think it's 300 yards, but there's a lot of snow. But look at that. Going down there. That's a lot of water. Some kind of cable and rope going over there. I see a little shovel. Little shovel right there. Somebody lost it. You can see a lot of water. Yeah, those are impressive. Takara and Barbara over there. These pine trees up here just go for days. I mean, everywhere. Pine trees. I like that rock wall over there. It's really nice. This goes down into Fallen Lake. I think that's the name of it. Little lake down the road here. We drove around to get to here. Alright, we'll make it back over where Kara's at. There we go. Another different view. Snow is melting, so it's slick. But, yeah, that's great. I don't know what it's like on a normal day, but there's a lot coming down right now. And that full water. Found some dry rock to walk on. They comes around the bend right here. It goes downstream. You can see yeah, just pine trees everywhere here. So this they're up there. Oh. There's somebody down here behind the rocks hiding, and I gotta pee somewhere. Probably won't happen. Get arrested for peeing in nature in California, probably. Look at the moss on these trees. Here comes our troopers. Found some walking sticks. Kara's trying to take a shortcut, went off the beaten path, and Barbara's following her. And the road is that way.
Right-hand side, there should be a sign that says Eldorado.
Alright, just leaving.
Visitor center thing?
It-
No. I wonder if they have bathrooms there. They should have bathrooms there.
Is this a
Okay,
fallen?
then let's go to Tahoe.
Is this fallen lake or Fallon Lake?
Fallen Leaf.
Fallen Leaf Lake. Look at all the snow. Still here in April. We're leaving. There's there's a rough. Working our way out. This Fallen Leaf Lake. That's really nice. It's really blue. The colors really show out, yeah. Oh, I can see it from, I can see it here. This is like a one-way road. It's really narrow, but yeah, you can see. I can see like I can see the rocks from here in there. Yeah. All right, better pay attention to the road before we get in our. A guy dies.
Well, he has a near death. He dies, comes back to life. Okay? And he's talking to his friend, and his friend says, "So what's it like up there?" And his friend says, "Well, they have a baseball team in heaven. I have good news and bad news. The good news is they have a baseball team in heaven." Yeah. The guy goes, "What's the bad news?" He goes, "Bad news is you're pitching on Friday."
Shit. That means you're about ready to die. Where's Emerald Bay? Inspirational Point Vista. Where? That little island down there?
That's where she would boat out to have her tea parties, but the castle's over there.
The castle's back to the left still.
Yep.
Looks like there's something on top of it.
That's the castle where she hosted the tea parties.
But this is not where you hike down from.
Actually there's a place to hike down from to, but I think over here.
How large these rocks are. Big rocks everywhere.
I don't know if you can see the castle from here.
Yeah, here's a map. It's a map of
castle.
Lake Tahoe. It's got a really bad glare on it. Where? Oh,
You can
I
see
keep
the
forgetting.
boats, but the
You
castle's
see a
still
boat.
that way.
Yeah, the trees are in the way.
Yeah,
But this
castle's still a
isn't.
little bit.
But this still isn't. So where you come in from? Well, you can't see the too many
'cause we're,
trees.
like, way over
But the boat comes in
from way
from
across
this
the lake.
across the lake,
into the bay.
into this bay. And this
And
is
you
called
pass-
Emerald Bay is where we're looking up.
Yeah. And then you
You
pass.
see there's a road that is right there. I think you drive down to and then you hike over to the castle, which we're planning on doing tomorrow. No?
Come
Or you
down.
come down?
Yeah, but the castle's kind of hidden by the trees.
Well, yeah, we just want to make sure we can hike it. See the castle. Some boats
See that
going on
wooden
down
dock
there.
right there?
Yeah.
That's where you get off to go to the castle, and the castle's just right there.
Well, you can see the bottom down there.
That's a tour boat. Though.
Yeah, there's tour boat coming in right down there.
It's a tour boat.
Your big one. They're going to the castle, huh?
No.
And how much?
Well, they'll drive in front of it.
Oh, they're just going to drive in front of it?
They won't dock.
And how much is the boat ride?
Well, 4 years ago when I was here, it was $100 a person. For a boat, like a speedboat type thing.
For a little boat, huh?
For a little boat. That's not that tour
Oh,
boat.
not that. Oh, you weren't on a big boat like that. You were on a little one, huh?
It's on a speedboat.
Wow. Doesn't look like a mile from the road to right there on the beach.
Well, when you
There's
come
the
down,
castle.
You're gonna come back.
The castle's what they consider a castle. It's not a medieval castle like what you find in Europe, but we're gonna try to go there tomorrow.
Scandinavian.
Scandinavian.
Yeah, it's a Scandinavian castle.
Oh, look at that view of that, of the lake,
How
the
big that lake is.
mountains. Guess we'll just go get some food. We're on a boat ride, getting ready to go on a Lake Tahoe. With Donnie and Tracy. Everybody's getting loaded, and then we'll be taking off somewhere right here. But yeah, should be exciting. Here we are, off into the out of the bay into the water. Oh, look at that! A big rock over there is where we came in on from Reno. Some people going by. There's a dock where they ride their bikes and go jump off the dock and go swimming. Summertime. You can see the. Oh yeah, it's coming up real nice in the GoPro.
It's going to be a long time before this water warms up.
I bet it's been a long winter.
A long winter.
Shoreline or structured
Right there,
shoreline
huh?
before we
Minerals
hit
and
Emerald
stuff
Bay around
come
that
into the
next
lake
corner.
and the fish sit there and feed.
We're going to see
where you
wildlife
caught
on
that
the
fish.
trip. This is usually where we
That's
have a pretty
small
good
creek.
chance of that starting. Keep
It's
your eyes
flowing. It
peeled
comes
anywhere
from way
from the
back
rocks
there.
on the shore to the tops of the trees on the shore for osprey and bald eagle. It's very common to see them over here looking for fish. Every once in a
Right here.
while, we'll get lucky and see a California black
You
bear.
can't even see the bottom.
To be honest, they're
But then all of a sudden,
trash cans.
it's going to be about 5 feet deep.
And we'll almost guarantee we'll see some waterfowl when they're migratory.
That's Bay Creek. Look at that. It's awesome.
Oh yeah, it's like a rock waterfall.
Of ice covering the west shore of Lake Tahoe that was over a mile thick. During that 100,000+ year period, that sheet of ice slowly advanced and retreated, carving out all of the valleys that you see currently on the west shore of Lake Tahoe. Emerald Bay was the only valley that had enough land to
Go,
push out
Mrs.
the waters
Dixie.
of Lake Tahoe to meet the valley, and it gave Lake Tahoe its own climate.
It's cold in here.
Scientists say that if that
That's what I was worried about with the later cruise. It would have been a lot warmer, like the 40 o'clock or whatever time it would have been.
Two separate lines
Yeah,
of water
it's
on the beach.
like your word, how to word it.
As we continue into, we'll progressively get deeper underneath our vessel until we hit a maximum depth of around
But you
200
probably
feet.
saw the island,
And
right?
that deep water spot lies about 2/3
When
of
you
the
were
way
at the
Yeah,
the
from up
couch,
there,
there's
yeah.
an island
It's
right there in front of us to the left of that boat.
If you're having a little trouble,
There's a
getting
little
down,
tea house on the
against
top of it
surrounding
that's
forest
built out of
and
rocks. We
shoreline
hiked up
background,
there.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Oh, with your jet ski, you drive up to it,
If
or?
any of you guys
Drop an
have driven
anchor,
around Lake Tahoe,
jump in,
or just
swim to the
trip
island,
or even
That's-
just see
Take the
it
kids up.
over
There's
there.
rock
good.
jumps
You may
like
remember being
there's some
How big is the,
roadway
how
that
big
was
is
built on edge
the
looking down on one
castle
side
with
into
the
Emerald
thing
Bay
up
and
there?
another into a valley with a small lake called
it's like a
Cascade.
good sized bedroom,
No
but it's
guardrails
full
on
of
either
it's
side
built
of
out
that
of rock.
road.
but
Well,
It's
that
open
road is
roof.
actually located
It's got a
on
couple
bridge
windows.
that's, sitting in the sunshine.
so it's not
on the
huge,
left side of
it's
the
just,
couch.
yeah.
If you look up the top of that ridge, you may see some vehicles driving up the state roadway. And it does look a lot less
So these
intimidating
buoys over
down
here?
there on the road
Uh-huh.
than it does from up there on the
Where
road.
that boat is? There's a campsite in there, but it's boat in only.
Oh, wow.
You have to
That
get there
was
by
actually
boat.
formed by a glacier as
And
well.
camp
That was the
and
lateral moraine
live life
that's
there
on the
for a
side of the
while.
glacier.
Oh.
Never done it,
That'd be cool.
It
It would,
as well, but he had no desire to brave the Sierra snowfall himself, so he decided he would have to hire a caretaker. Being that the only way in and out of Emerald Bay's Valley after the first winter or snows of winter had fallen was by vessel, he thought that he would have to hire a seafaring man to be his caretaker. Well, he chose a man named Captain Richard Barter, who happened to be a former British sea captain. And Captain Richard was better known by his nickname Captain Dick. And he spent a lot of time here at Larsen every winter. Anytime he had to go out for supplies with maybe an extra stop in the local saloon for some whiskey and conversation, he would have to either row or sail 16 miles north of Tahoe City or 7 miles southeast to the South Shore. Well, the captain was able to make those trips pretty much unscathed for quite a few years, but eventually his luck did change. While sailing back from Tahoe City in January of 1870, Captain Dick's small vessel was hit by a gale force storm. The high winds capsized the small boat and threw Captain Dick into the frigid January waters of Lake Tahoe, which averaged between 35 and 38 degrees in that month. Well, luckily he was able to get the boat upright, get back in and finish his sail back to his cabin on the shores of the bay, but not before spending a little bit of time in that ice cold water. When he returned to his cabin, he spent 11 weeks without leaving, recovering from that harrowing experience. And during those 11 weeks, frostbite on his toes got so bad that he had to amputate 2 of them himself with just the tools he had in his cabin. This had to be a little tougher living
Got
in
nail
Emerald Bay
clippers.
yourself in the 1800s. Well, during that recovery, Captain Dick had a lot of time to think, and he came to terms with the fact that he wasn't ready to leave this earth in the way that he wanted to. His final wish was to be forever entombed on Lake Tahoe's only island. So after his recovery, he loaded himself, his dog, and a few tools up into a small wooden rowboat and sculled out to Lake Tahoe's only island. Once he arrived, he built himself a tomb in the style of a chapel constructed of wood, and inside he built one pine coffin with the lid on hinges. The captain built the lid on hinges because he was under the impression that when he rowed himself back out to the island, put himself in the coffin and had to close the lid, it would be much easier to close from the inside if the lid was hinged. Well, unfortunately, he never found his final resting place on Finette Island, because just under 4 years later, in October of 1873, while sailing back from the South Shore late one night in what witnesses described as a rare state of sobriety for the captain, he disappeared and was never seen again. The next day, the only evidence left was his small boat smashed into the rocks of Rubicon Point, which lies about 2 miles north of the entrance to the bay.
Yep.
If you turn your attention to the starboard or right side of the boat, you may notice that small pier. Well, this is the location of a resort that used to exist in Emerald Bay. This was the last resort to ever exist here, and it lasted until the late 1950s when the owner, Mr. Harvey West, donated the land to the state of California. If you look about 40 to 50 yards to the looker's right or east of that pier, you can even see one of the foundations for the former resort buildings. Well, in the late 1950s, when Mr. West donated this land, The state of California tore down that resort and opened up a campground. That campground still exists in the summer months to this day, and it has a little bit more of a unique dynamic than most other campgrounds in the fact that most people arrive by boat. This is called California Boat Camp, and if you want to get here by land, you have to hike in with all your stuff about 3 miles. But if you arrive by boat, you can drop everything off on that pier along with your family and friends, and you get a free mooring ball to tie your boat to for the allotted amount of time you have your campground, giving you 24-hour access to your vessel while you're camping on the beautiful shores. Prior to the 1950s, this bay was divided into 2 private parcels. Currently, it is 100% state-owned. But the property line between those parcels is just about here where that fallen tree on the shoreline is. The half that we're in, the eastern half of the bay now, belonged to Harvey West and was where that resort was located, while the western half of the bay was owned by Lauren Knight and was home to the Vikings home estate. After Captain Dick's disappearance in 1873, the Holiday family continued to own the home here on the shores until they sold it in 1880. Between 1880 and 1928, there were 2 more owners of property here. One named Paul Kirby, who built a series of cabins at the head of the bay where Vikings Hold Castle now sits. And those cabins were actually the first resort to ever exist in Emerald Bay. They existed, or that resort existed until 1892, when the cabins at the land were bought by another family, the William Henry Armstrong family, who had no desire to run a resort, but ended up using those cabins for the first
store back there, a little gift shop.
That's what I was wanting to do tomorrow.
Sold in 1928, and that's when the purchased by Laura Josephine Knight. That's Laura L-O-R-A, not L-A-U-R-A. And Miss Knight was the owner and financier of the Vikings home estate. Miss Knight was a very wealthy woman who was born in Illinois, but her parents had immigrated from England just a generation before. So the English culture was still very prominent in her life.
Maybe ever.
Miss Knight actually
hopefully that's a good thing.
For a short time in the
bad
mid to late 1920s.
It's going to be cold for a long time. It's not going to warm up very fast.
She was wealthy.
That's the bad
downfall. Yeah.
Charles Lindbergh's first flight across the Atlantic Ocean, and this
You can see the
property she owned.
thing up top.
She owned properties ranging from Rhode Island on the east to San Francisco on the west, including properties in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, as well as the North Shore of Lake Tahoe. And being that she had owned property in the North Shore of this lake, she had been to Emerald Bay a few times and was absolutely enamored by its beauty. So when the opportunity arose for her to acquire this land, she jumped on that acquisition as quickly as she could. Even though Ms. Knight was of English descent, she believed that Emerald Bay reminded her of the fjords of Scandinavia, and she wanted to build an estate and a home that complemented the natural beauty of the bay. So she decided to build in Scandinavian style. And she didn't have to look too far for an architect, because she had a nephew through marriage named Leonard Palm, who happened to be Scandinavian and also an architect. So after purchasing this land, she employed the help of Leonard, and then purchased passage for him and herself across the Atlantic Ocean to tour 4 different Scandinavian countries over the course of the 3-month summer, so that they could gain design ideas for her future home as well as buy furnishings and decor. As we pass by Finette Island, I'm sure you guys are noticing the structure sitting atop the island. If you're asking yourself or assuming that that was Captain Dick's former tomb, I'm going to disappoint you and say it's not. His former tomb was constructed of wood in 1870, so it's long since rotted back into the lake. The structure we see atop the island today is known as the Tea House, and it belonged to the Vikings home estate and was built with the rest of the property in 1928 and 1929. As I said earlier, Miss Knight was of English descent, and the culture was still prominent in her life. And that being said, so was afternoon tea. And while it was an everyday occurrence for her to drink her afternoon tea, it was not an everyday occurrence for a woman in her 60s and 70s to climb that island to drink her tea. The 2 to 3 times per summer she chose to do so, she would have her and her guest sculled out to the island in a small rowboat by her maintenance men or chauffeurs, helped to the top over the harder parts of the trail, and then had them serve tea and crumpets behind 4 stone walls next to a cozy fireplace. Well, Miss Knight was not trying to spare any expense on windows, doors, and a roof. She had that tea house built with all of those amenities, but back in the 20th century, we had a small fire on that island, just on the top of the island, but it burned all of the flammable material out of that structure, leaving just 4 stone walls and a fireplace in the northwest corner. once, as I was saying earlier, Mr. Palm and Miss Knight spent the summer of 1928 touring Scandinavia. Miss Knight happened to be an antique furniture collector, so most of the furnishings and decor that she purchased for Viking's Home Castle were purchased from Scandinavian museums, making them all
It's not the type of castle that I'm used to.
Decorations and
I'm used to like medieval type stuff.
Right. The house to this day. And that is part of what historians say makes this the most authentic piece of Scandinavian architecture standing in the United States.
Parked the jet ski. Actually, didn't even park it. We took turns.
Once Mr.
dropping each other off and running and jumping off the
Miss
dock.
Knight returned from their Scandinavian summer, construction began on this property in the fall of 1928. Construction was done by 200 workers who were put up in a temporary encampment on the shores of the bay, and all in all, it took 5 months. The home was finished and completed in June of 1929, ready for Miss Knight to move in. Now, if you do the math between the fall of 28 and June of 29, there's way more than 5 months there. Well, there was a brief break taken during the snowy months of the 28-29 winter so that snow could fall and melt. Almost all of the materials used to construct Viking's Home Castle were found here locally.
Is that the trail coming down into it?
All of the granite for the masonry was quarried from an area about 100 yards inland of that small pier you see with the red boat.
All the way over.
All of the lumber was felled and milled right here locally in the southwest corner of the bay, specifically not, southwest corner of the lake, specifically not inside the bay because Miss Knight did not want to cut any of the trees down inside of her property.
Super cool.
Even the iron for the fireplace screens, door hinges, latches, handles, and fasteners.
It started at that far point,
shores in the bay by those,
there's a trail that goes all through all those.
Just to let you guys know, this is operated as a museum in the summer months by the state of California.
Ran like a 12K race.
Oh, you ran?
Yeah.
Oh,
we walked a lot of it, but yeah.
Sure, but okay.
You can gain access to the first 2 stories of the Viking's Home Castle, get an in-depth history of the castle and Miss Knight's life from a state park employee. And the only other cost, other than that $12 to $15, is going to be the 1 mile hike down and 1 mile hike back up to your car on those legs. I've heard that when on the way back up, it can feel more like 4 miles if you're not used to the altitude. So just be aware that you got the tougher part of the hike at the end of the day. Just to give you guys an idea of how the property's laid out and what we're looking at, we are actually approaching the back of the Viking's Home Castle. The stone section is the east wing of the home, and it's where most of Miss Knight's living quarters were located. If you were to walk directly through the east wing and out the front door, you would be walking out into a courtyard encompassed by the north, south, and west wings. The west wing would have an archway built through it so that you could drive a vehicle right into the courtyard and arrive at Miss Knight's east wing front door. If you turn your attention to the looker's right or north of the stone structure, you'll see part of the north wing. It has some red brick chimneys protruding out of the roof, and all that grass you see on the roof is not from neglect but by design. Natural sod roofs were very common in Scandinavian peasant homes back in that time, mostly for their insulating purposes, keeping it.
Before he jumps off this little A-shaped point right here.
Another interesting thing
that wouldn't be bad.
Trees are in the Sierras and definitely on Finette Island.
But it's
the relatively small size.
It's way deeper right now than it has been.
For example, this tree just across the cove off our port side that's split in two, growing in a V shape.
I started thinking this thing slid down in here.
Those roots can't get any bigger or spread out anymore. That tree will not get any larger, although it has existed here for over 400 years. It's the closest thing that nature produces to a bonsai.
Straight down.
Bonsai is an art form, not a tree, so it's not
that's
a
the
bonsai
tree right there.
But it is the closest thing that nature produces to one. There might be a mama goose right behind these 2 rocks here ahead of our boat. She has a nest back there and usually hangs out.
That DJ was launching off of this right there, yeah. But it was like 10 feet more under, like...
further down?
Yeah. The water's up right now. It's crazy. I've never seen a lot of people jump off that. Not me. I
don't think especially if you add 10 feet to it.
I think I've jumped off this platform right here.
I might even 10 feet more probably would, but
and it's a lot more up there when you're up there looking down. Once you get up there, you're like, holy crap.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure. Oh, there's the geese right there.
Oh, there is. Yep.
Right there behind that rock.
Hey guys, if you're gonna be that close to the bow, just keep an eye out for mountain lions.
That boat is for the hot air balloons. This is the one we were on. Yes?
What?
Earlier.
Oh, there's the geese.
Yeah, the geese, and there's some goslings.
Little babies.
Yeah, they're probably tucked underneath the mother, staying warm. We're on day 2, and we're going to have some breakfast at the Red Hut Cafe, and it's just the 2 of us. So we're gonna go in here, and this is something new. We're gonna try it and see how it is. Yeah, so here's our breakfast, and it looks amazing with a side of pancake, hash brown, and cheese melted on it. Okay, Kara, how was the Red Hut Cafe?
Fantastic.
Fantastic. And I give it a thumbs up. There you go. Good place to come for breakfast. Come to Tahoe. Showed up to Donnie's and Tracy's house, and they got pet ducks drinking the snow melt. This is Donnie's and Tracy's backyard. Yeah, Kara and Barbara's raking snow. And that, look how, is a huge pine tree. That is really big, and there's a couple of them. The shops were nice, but they're like, yeah. We went and walked around the shops, but yeah, we just walked around. There's Cookie! 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 There's more
Goalie! Goalie!
Yeah, it seemed like you're up closer to them too.
Yeah.
Let it bounce.
But she can still get really, yeah, she's getting really good protein, really good.
Good
job.
Right over there is Tori.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ball over there. Oh, they're defending.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, I lined it up. Oh, there we go.
Turn it, go.
Nice kick. Come on, Tahoe, keep it. Go, go!
Come on.
They're going the wrong way.
Oh, it's gonna go!
We're warping back to Utah. Just stopped to put some fuel in the car because it uses more gas when we go really fast, like in the warp speed. But Kara's sleeping the most of the way. But yeah, we're on our way home. Made it back safely, got cleaned up, got unpacked. It's time to relax now, and as always, hug the ones that you love.